Hey, man.
Hey, man.
All right.
What's our opening going to be today?
I can't do them ever, so just go ahead.
Hello, we are the Chatmen. We've got some stories we're going to read to you today.
Yeah. We thought we'd change it up a little bit, and Phil and I have each written a
Epic tale.
Sure, we'll call it an epic tale. Completely original stories here.
Completely 100% just straight from our minds, our brains.
Yeah, our schmines. Right down to our ski boards.
Spines. Okay, well, Truman decided that he wanted to go with something more like fantasy, middle-age, medieval times.
Yeah.
Stuff. Me, I was just like, I'm not doing that. Mine is going to be more futuristic and sci-fi, and it kind of turned out to be kind of post-apocalyptic. I don't know what it is.
That's still more future than not future.
Yeah, because it's got... Well, I didn't say it's not future, but I don't know if it's science fiction. But I'm just going to say there's spaceships.
Whoa!
There's at least one spaceship.
I wrote like 4 spaceships in my story.
Maser guns. You got spaceships in your story?
No. Yes. Okay. Maybe.
Oh, well, it's
definitely not.
It'd be a spoiler now if you were to tell me.
I know. Plot twist. I'm gonna shamalam you at the end. All right. So I think
Shamalam slam.
This episode is going to be a little different format because Phil's going to read his story while I comment and try.
I'll pause every once in a while to allow Truman comment.
Nah, I'll just push my way in. Don't you worry about stopping. I'll just yell louder than you when I need you to stop.
All right.
And then once he's done,
I'll treat you just as badly when it's your turn.
Yeah. All right, so we're gonna do Phil's first. So Phil, you got a title to the story?
No.
No.
Let me try to muster one up here. I'm not sure, but it's about a guy named Chadwick.
Whoa.
Yeah. All right. Let's just dive right in here. There's nothing quite like the burning yet rejuvenating sensation of a morning urine, said a hobo to a small child.
Good start.
Yep, I knew that was just the best way to start the story. Just put you right into the environment. The mother quickly guided her son away from the smelly homeless man and told him not to wander off again. The sun beat down mercilessly on the dusty old plains, and some faint, yet seriously poppin' beats could be heard in the distance, where the local band was slapping rusty metal scraps with their bare tetanus-infected hands.
Whoa. I can hear it. I can hear it.
You could hear those tetanus hands just slapping against the metal.
So good.
A small pack of stray rat cats scurried around a collection of cacti, kicking up dust and fighting over the carcass of a dead vulture. A large cat... What?
Good irony right there. It's the vulture that is dead and getting picked on this time.
By the rat cats.
Yeah.
They're actually chihuahuas. A large cactus trembled and leapt upon a nearby rat cat, immediately tearing it to pieces. It was a cactum all along.
I love cactums.
The other rat cats let out their series of high-pitched yaps and made a hasty retreat, while the poor chihuahua, a rat cat, was eaten alive by the carnivorous sandworm. A bolt of red-hot plasma shot down and struck the cactum's flesh, and it was... I need some water. Let me drink some water, Truman. Let me just... There we go. It struck the cactum's flesh, and it promptly exploded into 1,000 chunks of red and green. Chadwick put down his plasma rifle. Is that the one you wanted me to get rid of? Indeed it was, said the mayor, eyes all ajoy. That one was much too close to our town's perimeter. He was beginning to make me nervous. He tossed Chadwick a purse full of money. Chadwick grinned, stuffing... You know what? Chadwick is a hard name to pronounce, and I'm pretty pissed off at myself for choosing that as the main character's name.
Oh, yeah?
But anyway, he grinned and stuffed the purse into his dusty trench coat. Anything else you need me to take care of? The mayor guided Chadwick from the balcony, and they descended a spiral staircase. Well, the brown-beaked vultures are a bit of a problem, but I reckon I can hire a bird hunter to get rid of those. You only kill worms, you say? What kind of occupation is that? In my opinion, you should just go ahead and be a gun for hire. That would make much more sense, because you would probably have more job opportunities. Let me tell you something, Mr. Mayor, Chadwick snapped. My parents were killed by worms. Cue the sad music here. All I can see purpose for in life now is to kill every single worm out there. People pay me to exterminate.
There's a slow zoom on his face on that part, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
The lights dim down, there's a little spotlight on him.
Yep, and then it gets interrupted abruptly when the mayor says, "Oh, well, okay then." The mayor started to sense that this man not be a completely rational mind. I'll be sure to let you know if I have another worm problem, then. Chadwick turned to look at the mayor. Yeah, you do that. He laughed and left the room. That's not supposed to be in Chadwick's voice. I don't know if there's a distinction there. But Chadwick left and left the room. Okay.
What's up?
The mayor blinked and returned to his mayor work papers. Chadwick walked down the dusty road, intentionally kicking up sand to filthy up his once black slacks. Sorry, my dad just peeked in. He doesn't.
He loves
anyway,
you, Phil. He loves you.
No,
He just had to see your precious face.
it's so obnoxious. Anyway, okay, Chadwick walked down the dusty road, intentionally kicking up the sand to filthy up his once black slacks. A rat cat rounded the corner, and he kicked it in the jaw. The rat cat yelped and darted off, and a tiny, small child up ahead suddenly stopped hopping around, or whatever, and shouted, I remember a time when you could get in a lot of trouble for that. Actually, I don't, because that was 1,000 years ago, and I'm only 6. He spread his arms to the side and ran like an airplane back to his concerned mother. Chadwick continued shuffling on.
It's my favorite character so far.
Yeah.
Exposition kid.
Chadwick continued shuffling on by, kicking up clouds of dust that trailed behind him. A hobo approached Chadwick. You want some sun juice? You can't see it, but there's a little trademark next to the sun juice.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Is it like Gatorade, or is it more like iced tea?
I thought of it kind of like Sunny D.
Oh, gross.
Yeah.
Just sticks to your throat, makes it all nasty.
But Chadwick eyed him, not really knowing what sun juice was. But the hobo began to recite something. Sun juice is the tastiest beverage in the universe, and is also 200 billion SHUs on the Scoville scale. It is both extremely healthy and addictive, as it exudes just pure good taste for every person that drinks it. Being around...
We're having a commercial right now?
Yeah. The hobo I guess he goes into a commercial, but it's just... Being around 1,000,000 times hotter than the habanero, it got its name Sun Juice, as it truly feels like you're ingesting the power of the sun when you drink it. With all the good tastes and burns that come with licking one. It's like you're Superman or some shit. Chadwick didn't want good taste. No, Chadwick didn't want to taste good things. This is what I had written down. I'm perfectly okay with what I have at the moment. He reached into his trench coat and pulled out a clear plywood foam bottle filled
Sorry, say that again. What was it?
Oh my god. Clear plywood foam.
Okay, well that's a thing.
Okay. Oh god, I gotta get my bearings because it's like I wonder like if you're gonna be laughing when you read your story.
Probably.
Okay. Okay. Clear plywood foam bottle filled to the brim with sand. He drank a hearty swig of sand and kept walking. Oh shit.
Good
See.
stuff.
I wrote all this stuff like this second half of the story.
Mm-hmm.
Reached like halfway. I've been writing this half like today and last night. Like after we stopped playing games last night, I like started, and I was like so nervous because I thought like it was too, I don't know, like it wasn't gonna be funny enough.
It's pretty good.
Right now I'm reading it like with like actual like voices and stuff, and I'm pretty all right with what I have down here now. He passed a group of musicians thrashing around on the ground in violent spasms with blood pouring between their tightly shut jaws. He scoffed at them. See, this is what happens when you try to be a creative mind in this day and age. Serves you right. A spasming musician flicked Chadwick off with a bloody finger, so Chadwick kept going. See, they got tetanus and they were
Yeah.
spasms and lockjaw and stuff. He passed a food chain massacre of half-eaten vulture, ripped open rat cat, and cactum that he had earlier concluded with a mazer beam. He walked until he could no longer see the town from which he came, until he reached his wham-ass, a winged and massive vehicle that he frequently flew around him between jobs. He slammed his fist at a secret rusty button under the vehicle's hull and was instantly teleported into it. He took the cockpit and flew around the world until he got a radio signal calling for a worm killer, which was 7 months later. Nobody asked for a worm killer. He scurried to his mic. This is Chadwick the Worm Killer. What do you need? A possibly drugged man shouted over the radio. There is a huge-ass fucking meteor headed straight for Earth, and it's gonna kill us all. There was a pause. What does that have to do with worm killing? There's also, like, space worms on the meteor, so if you destroy the meteor, you'll take them out with it. Please, you're the only person left on Earth that still has a spaceship and didn't leave this shitty place when you had the chance. We're in all, like, serious peril here. I'm begging you to save us. Spaceship? What are you talking about? This is a wham-ass. I don't have space travel capabilities on this thing. There was another pause. Check your glove compartment or something, dude. What? Next to you, in front of the passenger seat, there should be, like, a glove box. Open it and read the manual. How do you know this? Because I used to build wham-asses when I worked in an unnamed manufacturing company. We always put the manuals in the glove box.
What convenient storytelling.
I know. Okay. If you don't know your ship can go into space, you obviously haven't read it, and you also probably don't even know what wham-ass stands for. And then Chadwick said, winged and massive, stupidly, as he rummaged around in the glove compartment and found a paperback book labeled Wham-Ass Beginner's Guide, with 3 A's after the M. He opened up the cover and saw the drop-down of what the acronym stood for. Winged and massive and also a spaceship.
So stupid.
I know.
It's good. I like it, but come on.
Oh shit. Okay. That's the next line. It is oh shit. Oh shit. Chadwick threw the book away and noticed a large red go to space button. To the left. Okay. Let me get a drink of water and collect my bearings for a second before I continue with this story. Alright. Oh, shit. Chadwick threw the book away and noticed a large red go to space button to the left of his keyboard. I'm out of here. He punched it and went into space, scanning the area for an asteroid. Indeed, he found a rather large one in Earth's orbit, a slow spiral that would probably make impact in a few weeks or so. After guiding his large winged ship to it, he landed on the meteor and put on his spacesuit. From here on, this is what I wrote in the last, 5 minutes when you were like, let's record, and I was like, I'm proofreading. So, as soon as he teleported out of his ship, a giant space worm's head erupted from the craggy rock, letting out a scream that Chadwick couldn't hear due to various reasons, one being the lack of atmosphere in the area, another being that he was wearing a pressurized suit that probably deafened him from the outside world in the first place. But the worm was terrifying. Its skin was bumpy and charcoal gray in color, with ridges of white, and its mouth was lined with rows of yellow teeth and fangs and mandibles. Chadwick pulled out his microwave gun and shot it in the mouth, but it had no effect. The space worm merely flinched and shook its head before letting out another silent scream. With very little gravity holding it down, it leapt up and guided itself to land on Chadwick. But he sidestepped just in time and let the Leviathan burrow back into the ground on its way down. The rock beneath Chadwick's feet rumbled once more, and the beast shot up out of the ground while Chadwick peppered it in a barrage of maser beams. It came back down, twisting right towards Chadwick, but Chadwick leapt out of the way just in time. He made a few anti-gravitational bounds toward the ship, while the giant space worm followed in hot pursuit. Finally, he reached his wham axe, slammed the secret button, and was instantly teleported into the ship moments before the creature's head slammed into the ship's hull. Chadwick leapt into the pilot's seat and slapped the go to space button left of the keyboard, and shot up away from the asteroid. He decided that the best way to kill that monster would be to let it hit the Earth, and he did. The Earth was no more, but neither was the worm, and that is what Chadwick thought was most important. He had a wham-ass that was also a spaceship. He had a whole galaxy to explore, filled with space worms and planets and colonies and aliens. He no longer had a need for a Earth. I don't know why I put a Earth there, but anyway, he no longer had any need for Earth. So that concludes the story of Chadwick, Earth's final hope that just didn't give a shit. The end.
That's good.
Thank you.
I want to tell you, whenever you talk about the wham ass,
Yeah.
imagine like a large Winnebago, like a big trailer, just with beats on it.
Just wait.
Like some.
I
some
pictured something like that as well. Just like
some trailers have like those patios that like roll out, so you have little shade. I imagine they just keep going out until their wings.
Yeah.
So they're not even like on the side; they're like at the top.
I pictured a not a real defined shape of just boxy metal chunks and just some sails, some like sail looking wings just plastered on it, just whatever.
That's good. I'm excited to know further adventures of Chadwick.
Yep. Earth's final hope that didn't give a shit.
All right.
He'll definitely be a reoccurring character.
Mm-hmm. All right. I need some more water if I'm going to tell my story.
All right, we gonna do an intermission?
Yeah, let's do a little break. See you guys in a little bit.
Just a second.
I'm back.
Hello, hello.
I got a fresh boat cup full of water.
Yep, I got a fresh triangle.
You drink out of that triangle cup every week.
That's true. This is my Chatman cup.
All right. Well, Phil just told us a delightful story of Chadwick, Earth's mightiest hero.
Didn't give a shit.
No.
No, it's not his hero, Earth's hero. It's Earth's final hope
Oh, okay.
that unfortunately didn't care about Earth's existence, preservation, or whatever.
I just hope in the future he either introduces himself as Earth's last hope, or he has like little business cards that say Earth's last hope, and they're like, isn't Earth gone? Yeah, but I was the last hope.
We'll see.
All right.
He's not going to be a main character again, but he's definitely going to make cameos later on.
Okay. Well, my story, it was going to have the title Samson the Orc Slayer. That's what it saved as. But I realized he slays no orcs in this story at all. So we'll just call it something else.
Samson to my Chadwick.
Sure.
Okay.
All right.
You're going to have to do that a couple more times during this story when you laugh at your own things like I did.
All right. Here we go. The cold air impeded his already short breath. "I've got to get there as fast as I can," said the small halfling running up the path. He was by far the fastest creature in Bloodrock Village, and he was on a mission. The path wound up a spiral mountain. Although the halfling had always lived in Bloodrock, he never dared to venture to the peak before. Only one man had. Devil's Spire was by far the most dangerous mountain in the land. Foul beasts lived within its crags and caves. The slopes of this mountain meant only death to those who ventured higher and higher into the heavens. But this time was different. He had to make it to the summit. A rock slid from under his feet, and the halfling fell. He slid toward a tremendous drop that was awaiting him alongside the path. Scrambling, the halfling grabbed for anything that would stop him. The only thing within reach was a razor-sharp knife bush. He reached out and grasped a limb. The sharp leaves dug into his flesh. Wounded and scared, he managed to save himself from the plummet down, but just barely. Once again, he scurried to his feet and continued sprinting up the path. He had to make it. Through the mist and fog, the halfling finally began to make out a small house. The fear in his belly was now accompanied with awe. He was so close to finally meeting the legend that managed to live at the top of this hostile mountain. As he approached the door, he took a moment to compose himself. He quietly knocked on the door. A gruff voice called from within the rundown building. "If you're gonna knock, knock like a man." The tiny creature froze. "If you're gonna knock, knock like a man." The fear in his belly wouldn't stop him. The last time the halfling remembered feeling this nervous was when he had to give his report on ancient elf migration habits at Ravenhold University. He gathered all his courage and banged his knuckles on the ancient door. "That's more like it. Get your ass in here," called the monstrous voice. The halfling quickly obliged and walked into the house. From the outside, this old building looked like it had been abandoned for eons, but within there was another story. As he entered, the warmth of a roaring fire hit him like a tidal wave. The smell of roasted Yaxter ox flooded the air.
Oh, I'm sorry, can you repeat that for me?
A Yaxter ox. Imagine a large animal that resembles both a yak and an ox.
Oh, okay.
They're a staple in Ravenhelm. Yeah.
Ravenhelm.
Ravenhold is what the land is called.
Oh, okay.
As the small creature looked around the room, his eyes could only see menacing weapons and the pelts of slaughtered beasts. Trophies of adventures past. In the center of the room was a massive chair. The only thing larger than this throne was the being who was sitting in it with his back towards the door. "What the hell do you want? I'm very busy." This monolith of a man was watching some strange display on a magical mirror hung on the wall. The halfling couldn't tell if he was joking or not. That mirror must be the spoils won by killing some great beast or saving some beautiful princess, thought the halfling. He stammered. Being in the presence of this legend had caused the words to escape his mind.
It's a television, isn't it?
Yes, it's very much so a television.
Okay.
But it is an actual mirror.
Oh, okay.
But it has programs on it that he's watching.
I gotcha.
My village, Bloodrock. We need your help, Samson, yelled the minuscule creature. The man in the chair shifted and slowly stood. For the first time, the halfling could see the face of the adventurer. His grizzled beard and pecs so amazing that they would make any and all winches swoon. Dressed in his favorite manticore skin vest, the man looked the halfling directly in the eyes. The man's coal-black eyes could send any enemy running from battle crying and shitting their pants. Sounds about right, he bellowed. Now standing, the man's head neared the ceiling. His stature was colossal, taller than anyone the halfling had ever seen. "Y'all gonna feed me if I come all the way down to the village?" Samson asked. Of course," cried the halfling. "Please hurry, sir. We really need your help." Samson turned to the wall of blades and weapons, his hands slowly brushed by magic swords and ancient shields, until at last it landed on the most impressive blade of all. The halfling was shaking with glee. He knew that sword. It was Doombringer, a mystical sword that Samson had used to slay the sludge beast, the stone hydra, and like a bazillion orcs. I want to know what the stone hydra looks like. That sounds pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you're listening to this, somebody should draw some of the things that we say.
Like a sludge beast?
Like a cactum?
Yeah.
Or space worm? Just put them all in the same picture, or not. It'd be awesome. Go on, Truman.
All right. "This one will do," said Samson as he admired his weapon in the light of the fire. He also grabbed a large whip, a studded arm bracer, and just an armful of throwing knives. Samson loaded his gear into a leather bag and hoisted it onto his shoulder. "Let me just grab a snack for the road." He walked over to the fire and grabbed more meat than the halfling could eat in a month. "All right, which way to that bleeding place you were yammering about?" Samson asked, while waving a massive piece of griffin meat. Bloodrock, it's at the base of the mountain. I can lead you," said the halfling as he scurried to the door. "If you guys are really in danger, we don't have time for you to lead the way." Samson snatched up the halfling and slipped him into his pocket, like how you would sling a pistol in its holster. Whilst munching on his traveling snack, Samson began sprinting down the mountain. Doing amazing leaps and grapples over boulders, Samson made a once dangerous path look like a cakewalk. He had a mouthful of meat, and he wasn't even winded. After a bunch of neat flips and shit, the two were at the base of the mountain. Samson threw the now bare bone he had been snacking on into the sky, pegging an evil harpy right in her temple, and killed her. It was an evil harpy.
Okay.
So he wasn't doing bad things. Okay. Super impressed and somewhat angry, the halfling called up to Samson from his hip pocket. The trek down here only took like 20 minutes. That's amazing. It took me 2 days to climb up to find you. Bloodrock Village was within seeing distance. Although usually a hub for selling pottery and magical potions, the streets were empty. Samson and the halfling walked toward the center of the village. A large building stood at the center of town, and within lived the chief of Bloodrock, Bongo the Wise. Bongo was an eccentric old troll who founded Bloodrock over 1,000 years ago as a place to trick tourists into buying tiny trinkets and bric-a-brac that nobody ever really needs. The withered old troll met Samson at the door. "Doing well, Samson? Come on in. We have a feast already prepared for you," rasped Bongo. This way," Bongo sung as he led Samson into the building. The halfling was becoming angry. How could that crazy old troll be acting so happy and nonchalant when the village was in so much trouble? Samson walked into the grand room of the building, where his eyes just saw tables and tables stacked with beer, meat, and winches. Bongo the Wise stood with a pile of books and a chalkboard. Have all you want, Samson. I will fill you in on the situation.
I like how he sounds kind of like Yoda.
It's like Yoda and Grover had a baby or something. It's crazy.
Okay.
Samson sat down and began eating. The halfling kind of just stood awkwardly in the corner of the room, listening. Bongo the Wise began to fill Samson in on the situation. Our village has been plagued by the mighty Horn Fiend. For nearly a fortnight, our livestock has been going missing, leaving only pools of blood in the fields. Our buildings have been attacked, and our treasure supply has been destroyed by the beast's mighty breath. Our days are filled with worry, and our nights are haunted with fear, said Bongo with a smile on his face.
I knew you were going to do something like that.
You could barely hear the old troll through the smacking and chewing of Samson devouring his third full ox and his 9th gallon of ale.
His third full ox.
Yeah, he's eating the whole thing. Just a mountain of bones next to him.
Oh, God.
More than 100 of our strongest men have died trying to slay the beast, and we are running out of hope. We need you, Samson, to slay the Horn Fiend and save us from this hell. Wiping the grease from his face, Samson muttered through his mouthful of meat. Okay. Samson stood and shoved as much of the extra meat as he could into his pockets and leather bag. Just point me in the right direction, and I'll get rid of your problem. The halfling agreed to take Samson to the edge of the village and point him towards Sulphur Cave, which held the fiend. Stoic, Samson sauntered toward the gaping cave. He sauntered, mind you. He didn't just walk. He sauntered.
Okay.
He drew Doombringer from his sheath and ventured in. Darkness encompassed Samson as he walked deeper and deeper into the depths of the cave. So far, no baddies had popped out to fight him, and let's be honest, Samson was pretty sad about that. Samson's animal-like hearing picked up the faintest of noise way off in the distance. The sound of rattling echoed in the dark. Samson stopped. The sound grew louder and louder. A normal man would have turned and ran, but Samson stood defiant against the darkness. From his pocket, Samson removed an amulet. It glowed with the power of the lake goddess. He had received the magic item after he gifted the goddess with an extraordinary night full of his adventurous stories and some very passionate lovin'. Samson slipped the amulet's chain over his head, and the light hung around his neck. The light from the amulet lit up the cave, revealing a horde of angry skelallows charging him with cutlasses and pretty hip sunglasses.
Skelallows. Hip sunglasses, that's wonderful.
Raising his hand, Doombringer was aimed at the horde. The skelallows charged forward swinging, and they were swiftly met by Samson's blade. The bones and designer shades fell to the ground. It sounded a lot like a xylophone being played. After the scuffle, Samson was surrounded by a pile of bones and broken lenses. The bones shook as they began to reassemble themselves back into skelallows. Samson knew that he couldn't truly defeat skelallows without a vial of ogre tears, so he ran forward, leaving the enemies to shuffle behind him.
Gotta drink some water.
So, secret to those listening, if you're ever faced with an army of skelallows, you need you some ogre tears, that they'll just keep reassembling themselves. As he was...
That.
What?
Said I knew that.
Yeah, everybody should know that. It's
First
basic
grade.
101. They teach you how to stop, drop, and roll and always carry ogre tears.
Yep. Go on.
As he was running, Samson nearly stumbled. Something got a hold of his boot. He waved his amulet around him, looking for the source that halted his progress. Something out of the corner of his eye darted past. A sound of chattering and laughter could be heard in the dark. That moment, Samson knew he was in danger. A smiling monster was in the darkness. Although Although they may sound harmless, Samson knew that these beasts were deadly. The smiling monsters are curious beings with the face of children. They mimic the sounds of playing and laughing to lull their victims into a false sense of security before they pull you in with their 8 calloused hands to eat you. Yeah, they're pretty scary.
Jeez.
The laughing echoed again, and just outside Samson's reach was the face of the monster. Samson knew that if one monster is in front of him, there must be another one grabbing his ankle. Alone, the smiling monster was easy to kill, but Samson knew that he was about to fight 2 at once in the dark. With his free foot, he curb-stomped the monster at his rear. A deafening screech filled the air. Samson then lunged forward to strike one of the monsters. The mighty Doombringer bounced off the smiling monster's face without causing so much as a tickle. At that moment, Samson paused, if only for a moment, in panic. How was he supposed to kill these monsters if Doombringer did no damage? Samson struggled to pull his imprisoned foot free and fled deeper into the cave. As he pushed forward, Samson heard the laughter chasing him. The smiling monsters were scurrying after him. He turned to look over his shoulder to see only the eyes and gaping mouths of the monsters right on his heel. You nervous, Phil?
Yeah, a little. I'm starting to shake a little bit. Smiling monsters are going to be like the next, I don't know, like Jeff the Killer or something. I'm trying to think of the last thing that I thought of that had me. Last thing I read about had prevented me from a little bit of sleep. But there you go.
I'm kind of picturing them like a very large tarantula, only like people face.
Yeah, baby face.
And little people hands. Alright, let's see, find back where I was. Reaching into his bag, Samson grabbed some of his throwing knives. With an inhuman amount of accuracy, Samson heaved a small blade into the eye of the monsters. The laughter of the creature distorted into a squeal, and in that moment Samson knew how to defeat his enemies. He swiveled to face the second monster. He held a knife between his fingers and flung it at the beast. The knife not only pierced the smiling monster's eye, but passed through its skull. With a death rattle and the sound of ripping flesh and bone, the monster flew backwards with the force of the throw. "One down," Samson yelled. I don't know if you guys know this by now, but Samson is a total badass. He does
I can tell.
He wants.
I can tell. He's like the opposite of Chadwick.
Yeah.
Chadwick tries to be a badass, but he doesn't.
Samson is a badass.
Doesn't.
He can back himself up.
Yeah, Chadwick can't do shit. What he can do, he can blow up some cactums with a laser rifle. That's it. Anything else? He does. That's it. But Samson.
Yeah.
That's right, yeah.
Alright. The second wounded smiling monster raced towards Samson, emitting the sound of children giggling and screaming. Samson stood motionless as the creature raced toward him. Come on, he beckoned.
Oh, Jesus.
As hands reached toward him, Samson heaved his knife, made a satisfying crunch and gush as it entered the beast's brain. Samson heaved the monster aside, and once again pushed forward into the cave. Samson could hear roaring water ahead of him, but he couldn't gauge the sound's distance. He continued to jog forward into the darkness until he began to see a dim blue light. The cave opened up to an impressively large cavern with walls scaling 100 feet high. On one side of the cave there was a tremendous waterfall pouring water into an underground lake. At the top of this room there was a large gaping hole, and through it you could see the moon. "Have I really been adventuring for an entire day? It was definitely just after lunchtime when I came in here," grumbled Samson. In the dimly lit room, there came an echoing, thunderous growl. Samson could just barely make out a huge shape moving in the shadows. "Come on out here," sighed Samson. "I've been running around this dang cave for way too long, and I'm tired and ready to go back to bed." A loud roar replied as the monstrous horn fiend crawled out into the moonlight. Samson knew that this beast was supposed to be big, but he was taken aback by seeing the Horned Fiend in person. The animal was the size of a house, weighing about 2 tons. Its callous skin was covered in the swords and axes of past men who had tried to defeat it. The protruding blades resembled horns and spines covering the entire length of the fiend. That's where it gets its name.
Oh, so it doesn't actually have any horns?
No, it's just got like 50,000 sword blades coming out of it.
Jesus.
From head to toe, blades and metal glimmed in the moonlight. As the monstrosity charged at Samson, the adventurer stood his ground. Feeling the hot, wet breath of the colossus hit his face, Samson didn't even flinch. He stared the Horned Fiend right in its glowing eyes. You really gotta stop killing people in the village. I know there are plenty of other things you can eat out in the forest, said Samson. A giant clawed foot swiped at Samson, and the concussion hit him. The concussion of the hit blew him into the wall of the cave. That was a very poorly worded sentence. From the rubble, Samson stood up. Okay, if that's how you're gonna be. Samson paused to add drama to the situation. He withdrew his blade and thrust it into the air. Then Doombringer will taste your blood tonight.
Oh, gee.
Samson withdrew his blade. That sentence didn't need to be there. The Horned Fiend was charging too fast toward Samson. With his free hand, Samson took out his whip and swung it around. Right as the Horned Fiend was about to leap at Samson, he popped the whip right in the beast's eye. I didn't realize until after I read the story, Samson has a thing for taking out eyes on monsters.
Yeah, I guess so.
The Horned Fiend screamed and moaned as fluid ran from the socket. Samson had managed to completely destroy the monster's left eye. With little to no visibility, the Horned Fiend began swinging and smashing rocks and stalagmites with rage. All right, let's try this again. Samson once again raised Doombringer towards the moon. Then Doombringer will taste your blood tonight. As the light bathed Samson and the blade, he began to chant. Dark ancient words left Samson's mouth and they were met with the sound of thunder. Clouds began circling above the cavern. Louder and louder Samson chanted, and the thunder accompanying him sounded like the drums of giants. I'm getting so worked up I can't even read.
Drink that water. Let me drink my water.
Alright. The thunder
I'm just getting into this.
The thunder accompanying him sounded like the drums of giants. Then all fell silent. Even the Horned Fiend was frozen with anticipation. Out of the sky shot a lightning bolt that struck Doombringer. The blade began to glow as the sound of the most intense guitar solo ever resonated through the cave. And not one of those guitar solos that are just a bunch of strummed chords. It was one of those really cool fast ones that are like... After two... I actually wrote that in there.
Bowing down now stuff?
It actually says meedly, 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 me.
Oh, wow.
After 2 straight minutes of the magical sounds of squealing guitars. 2 minutes. The Horned Fiend once again began charging at Samson. With a snarl and a roar, the beast leapt at Samson. A living beast left the ground, but 2 chunks of a dead carcass hit the floor.
Oh, jeez.
Samson had cleaved the head of the Horned Fiend completely off the body of the animal. After eating a few dozen celebratory meat shanks from his bag, Samson grabbed the head of the slain monster and threw the body over his shoulder. 2-ton monster, by the way. Exposed on his shoulder. With his trophy in hand, Samson charged out of the cave. He had entered. He ran faster than any man had ever ran. He sprinted past dead smiling monsters and smashed his way through the now completely reassembled army of Skelallows. The skull of one Skelallo released a depressed, "Aw, man," as it hit the ground once again. Are you frozen? Okay. I'm going to do that sentence one more time because you kind of glitched up on me.
No, I heard it.
Okay.
Man.
Yeah. Oh, man, as it once again hit the ground. Samson didn't stop until he reached Bloodrock Village. There, he was met with a crowd of cheering villagers and groupies. They threw food, money, and bottles of rum at the Samson in their celebration. As he ran by the crowd, Samson called back, "Stop throwing all that stuff at me! How am I supposed to carry all your gifts if they're all over the ground? Pick it all up and put it in a wagon, please." The crowd, grumbling and defeated, gathered their gifts back up. Samson reached the middle of the city where Bongo the Wise was waiting for him. "I was getting a little worried, Samson," chuckled the old troll. "I thought that maybe the Horn Fiend was sporting Doombringer in its hide after eating you as a little snack." "Not likely," said Samson, and the two had a hearty laugh. "But why did you bring the corpse back with you?" asked Bongo. "Taking the head makes sense. I know you like your trophies, Samson." Samson tossed the body to the ground and once again unsheathed Doombringer. He climbed onto the beast and plunged the sword into the belly of the Horn Fiend. As he cut a huge slit, gold coins and other treasures spilled from the body.
What?
Apparently Horn Fiends eat treasure.
Okay.
"I thought you guys would want all this booty," said Samson to Bongo. With a smile on his face, Bongo replied, "Well, you do know the old saying, I'd buy my own castle if I had a dead Horn Fiend in my back pocket." Samson, the halfling, stared up at Bongo with a look of utter confusion on its face. "Y'all let me know if you need anything else," said Samson as he threw the Horn Fiend's head onto the wagon full of gifts and rewards from the townsfolk. "I'm gonna go eat something, and then probably take a nap." And with that, Samson began walking away, pulling the wagon behind him. As the sun rose over the horizon, Samson was silhouetted in the light. Wiping a tear from his eye, Bongo looked down at the halfling. "There goes one cool son of a bitch." The end.
Oh, that is the perfect ending.
You like that?
Oh, yes, I did.
Pretty good?
Yeah, man.
That was a long story.
That was a great story. I think we got, let me see. I think that's about, we got about 50 minutes here. That's a good episode duration there.
Yeah. If you guys like these, we're planning on writing more stories in the future. I know there are definitely more adventures for Samson to have.
Yes.
But,
Chadwick will be around. It's not going to be a main character again.
I may end up writing about the halfling at Ravenhold University. That'd be fun, learning magic spells.
Yeah, it'd be like a Monsters Incorporated sequel that went to a prequel, and you do the exact same thing.
Yeah, only make it good. Bum bum bum.
Bum bum bum. I have not even seen.
I haven't seen it either.
Yeah. But what you should do, anyone who's likes to draw, you should draw pictures of some of these scenes we illustrated here, or some of the characters, like concept art. I don't know, something that'll.
Yeah, if I can find them, I did doodle Bongo and the smiling monster. So if I can find those, I may try to upload them somehow and put them in the comments.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was trying to grasp what Bongo was like, get a voice for him. I really like Bongo the Wise. He's really cool.
Me too. Oh my god, that was quite the story.
All right.
Oh.
I think we're planning something special next week. We
Yeah.
Send out an invite.
Yeah, we're gonna have a little friend over.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So, who could it be?
I don't know.
It's a secret for later, especially because we have to know if he'll say yes, which I know he will.
Yep, that is correct.
All right. Well, I guess that's all we really had planned for this week. Hope you guys enjoyed it.
I hope they did too.
Yeah.
Needed to say something that added to your thing, because there was a silence cueing me in for a comment, and
I was looking for an end right there, but I forgot to say, you guys check us out on Facebook, like our page. guys got any suggestions, or if you want to maybe write your own story, we'll be happy to read it. Maybe
That's
not
okay.
on the show, but we will read it and definitely recognize you for writing it. Hit us up, ChatmenShow at Gmail.
And also, if you want any future topics for us to discuss in the future for our chats that are not stories, go ahead and send them to our email or Facebook page, because that's not currently covered in comments at the moment. Not at all.
Nope.
It's completely bare. That was not sarcastic for me to say.
Alright. Well, I think that's all we got. So, we'll see you guys in 2 weeks.
Maybe, yeah. We
Alright.
will.
Bye!
Bye. See ya.